speaking of other liberal media outlets with issues, we have covered here, Don Lemon's comments about, when women are in their prime and the obvious hatred that his female co-hosts have for him on their new failing morning show. Variety has a new in-depth report about a long track record of alleged behavior from Mr. Lemon within the network that has been really, according to their reporting again, quite outrageous. I mean, some of the tactics
it's psychotic.
he has used to bully and intimidate his colleagues across the board is quite disturbing. Let's go ahead and put this up on the screen. Daily Beast had a write-up of the reporting that, again, originated in Variety. The headline here is Don Lemon's history of alleged misogyny and diva-like behavior, detailed in a new report. I will give you some of the lowlights here. One in particular is he was upset that one of his colleagues, I think, got sent to Iraq, had like some, plum prominent position. This was back a while ago. This is like 2008. He got a burner phone and started sending this colleague these threatening messages through the burner phone. Things like, now you've crossed the line and you're going to pay for it.
What?
CNN did an internal human resources investigation, and they traced those texts back to Don Lemon. Now, in any sane workplace, that sort of truly psychotic behavior would certainly get you fired, but not for Don Lemon. He was pulled from his co-anchor duties with this female co-host. He was just moved to the weekends. So pushed to the weekends, demoted, but not removed from the organization. They also say that those who worked with him say he was a, quote, shameless name dropper, left behind hints that he socialized with important people, like a handwritten note from Stedman Graham that he had taped on his computer. Some were also unnerved by his talk of previous lawsuits, believing it signaled he was litigious. He frequently let drop that he successfully sued Tower Records, as well as the Chicago PD, for racial profiling and didn't need to worry about money thanks to the settlements. Called one of his producers fat to her face. He mocked Nancy Grace on air. He apparently was particularly prickly about any other host getting, prominent, any sort of prominent hosting gigs with regard to issues like Black American-focused issues. So Soledad O'Brien landed the gig of hosting CNN's Black in America docuseries, and during an editorial call attended by roughly 30 staffers, he suggested O'Brien was not actually Black, according to two witnesses who found the characterization wildly offensive. He made some nasty comments about S.E. Cupp having mommy brain on air. It just goes on and on with this type of bullying, gross behavior. And, and some of it certainly verges on sexual harassment. Now, Don Lemon is a gay man, so this really isn't about sex in any way. It's just about power. With these sorts of comments and behavior from these individuals who think they are above it all and won't face any consequences, which, by the way, he has not, they do this sort of stuff just to prove to you that they can and that they can get away with it and that you're smaller than them and you just have to take whatever they're going to dish out. And that, to me, is the pattern of behavior that really shows up
That's
here.
what they did. I mean, they elevated him over and over again. He's only been promoted and made one of the major faces of the network. And to your point about the whole power dynamic, they literally had a rule that you're not allowed to date anybody in the office. And he started dating one of his producers who was 20 years his junior, literally showing up at the office and riding to the car in the same time, just to show everyone that he's like, the rules don't apply to me. He would flaunt it in front of everyone. The text, though, that's got to be one of the craziest things I've ever heard.
Right?
You go and you buy, this was also 15 years ago. So remember, guys, it's not that easy to just go get, there were no apps at that time that you could just download a number or whatever for a fake thing. You had to go to a store.
Get a phone.
You had to go to a 7-Eleven. You had to buy a burner phone that drug dealers use. You had to get a card. You had to set this thing up. You had to put her phone number in. And then you had to text from that phone to that person. That is stone cold crazy.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? And then they do an investigation. Apparently he's so dumb that he's able to trace it back to him, too. The only guy who ever had a burner phone turned on. And they're like, yeah, it was you. And then they don't do a damn thing about it.
Just move into the weekends.
It's totally crazy. Like, the way that he behaves, as you said, he's obvious, like, one of the most narcissistic individuals on all of television. And it's an indictment for all of the preening and, you know, liberal Me Too coverage that they claim to stand for over there. This guy obviously should have been fired over 15, 16 years ago.
Think of how demoralizing this for
it must be tough. I can't imagine.
Everyone who has to come in contact with him. And by the way, whenever you see these sort of stories appear, which clearly they had a number of sources for and tons of stories going back years, it is once again a sign that everyone who has to work with you hates your guts, and they are looking for any chance that they have to try to stick the knife in. I was reminded of the shitty men in media list, which of course was like slanderous and, you know.
And recently, actually, they just had to settle that case.
Right.
Yeah.
But the reason it took off is because there is a lot of truth to the number of, I wouldn't say just shitty men, but shitty people in media who rise to the top, not because they're talented, not because it's some like meritocracy or whatever, but because of the gross tactics, psychopathic behavior, bullying, power games that they are willing to play and know how to play.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of these people rise to the top. And that was what really came out for me from reading this piece. And, you know, by the way, I know some people at CNN and who confirmed much of this, you know, to me privately that, oh yeah, this is exactly how he's known, as this bullying, abrasive, diva who, you know, thinks that he's completely untouchable, and has been right about that, by the way.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, it's crazy. I feel bad for anybody who has to work with him. Although I don't have too much sympathy because they actually signed up for it, and everybody knows that he's a monster.
The low-level, like, producers.
Oh, yeah,
they're just trying to get their foot in the door, and they're subjected to this, like, psycho dude.
That must be really tough.
Yeah.
Like, working with somebody like that, I genuinely can't imagine. So thoughts and prayers for anybody who has to come into contact with Don.
Indeed. Hey, guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us. And if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.